Do you
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Sandy McDonald, and I'm the Director of the Office of Economic and Small Business Development here in Broward County. I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon in one of the workshops that I actually enjoy facilitating. And this workshop is called Certified Now What? So Pam, we can move past my photo because we're going to dive in today. Certified Now What? I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, but I want this current slide to be up because I want to know, and you can put this in the chat, not the Q&A, but put this in the chat. What are your expectations now that you're certified? If you're listening to me right now, we're just now getting started, right off the cuff. Before I get going, what are some of your expectations now that you're certified? So I want you to use the chat because in addition to answering my poll questions as we do this, I want you to make sure you give yourself a shout out. I'm always telling small businesses, even when we're face to face, you want to know who's in front of you, you want to know who's in back of you, you want to know who's to the right, you want to know who's to the left, because for networking, at some point, network has to become your net worth. So you got to know who's in the room. So give yourself a shout out. Make sure you say your name and your company's name. But to start, poll number one, what are your expectations now that you're certified? And then I'm going to dive in deep. Put that into the chat. I might come back and even read a couple of them. But this is about what is your expectation now that you are certified. Slide 2. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, guys, a little bit about us. Office of Economic Small Business Development. These are our goals. We are aligned here. We are assigned here. We're placed here by the Broward County Board of County Commissioners. So we are here on a mission. The county's vision, mission, and goals. Our office goals and objectives based on the county's mission, vision, and goals. And it's really about you. This is all about small business. This is all about business. This is all about economic development and growing our economy through the utilization of small businesses. Next slide. I want to make sure that you know as an office, these are our lines of business. Economic development, small business, which we're going to focus on today, community relations and outreach. That's the team that has me here. This is why we do virtual workshops. This is why we're doing an upcoming conference in June. This is why we come out and do meet and greets in the communities. We try to find ways to disseminate information to the business community, specifically the small business community, so that you know that we're here to assist you. We're going the wrong way. Next slide. And we're also Film Lauderdale. Recognize that in this office, we now operate the film office. So here we go. Certified now what? The Business Opportunity Act. Come on, Pam, catch up with me, partner. We got to be on sync. Here we go. The BOA, Business Opportunity Act. In short, guys, that's the ordinance that says at least 25% of what we do as a county we need to do with certified small businesses. Now, we're Broward County. We buy a lot. We don't buy everything. But even now with Film Lauderdale, we even buy more. But the objective through an ordinance, the Business Opportunity Act, is to assure that at least 25% of what Broward County government buys, and think about it, airport, seaport, and Port Everglades, Convention and Visitors Bureau, now known as Visit Lauderdale. We own county courthouses. We own Parks and Rec. We own libraries, Broward County Transit, county roads, Government East, Government West. I know from time to time we talk a lot about vertical construction and trades, but anything the county buys, we try to make sure that this ordinance applies, and we're given an opportunity anytime a county agency is buying any good material, service, or product to try to align a 25% goal. Next slide. And why do we do that? Because my Broward County Board of County Commissioners recognize that the Small Business Administration says small businesses are 1 to 500 employees. Well, on top of that, for Broward County, and there's over 77,000 businesses in Broward County, 89% of them have 20 employees or less. Broward County is truly a small business community. And because of that, as you just read, we have the Business Opportunity Act, which means Broward County has to buy stuff anyway. We have major initiatives and projects like that convention center expansion and the new hotel, building a new supervisors of election building, have to do infrastructure projects anyway, have to do roadway and utility projects anyway. There's stuff we got to do anyway, but since we got to do it anyway, why not make sure some of it that we do with local certified businesses? So think about it. Today is certified, now what? I need to show you the pathway that post being certified, you need to engage in these processes that will allow you to grow your company and make money. At the end of the day, a small business program is for naught. It's not worth having unless small businesses are making money. But we're saying there's a foundation. The Business Opportunity Act, these small business stats, there's a foundation on why we actually do this. Next slide. 3 Ps, guys. We're getting ready to dive in. Certified, now what? If you're certified, what you really need to know, you need to know this program. You know how they used to say, you go to school, you get a degree, you get a diploma, you fill out a resume, and you just sit? Because job is going to knock on your door. Job ain't going to knock on your door. You have to go hunt for a job. Folks, the same is true in business. You started a company, great. But you just can't sit there to wait for business to knock on your door. There's avenues by which you will be informed about business opportunities, but you really do need to do your homework to go after those business opportunities. One way of doing your homework is to understand why we are here as an office. Why we are here as an office. Program, process, and people. So I'm going to go through 3 slides that's going to explain program, process, and people. Keep in mind, this is the workshop. Certified, now what? Now what? You need to know the program. If you got certified with me in the local program, you're an SBE, Small Business Enterprise, or CBE, County Business Enterprise. But you need to know the program, because when my office reaches out to you, sometimes through a call, sometimes through the email, and we're saying sheltered market, you need to know I'm reaching out to you because you're an SBE. You need to know the shelter market program, as a part of the ordinance, says whenever the county buys a good material, service, or product for $250,000 or less, if I have at least 2 firms in my directory who provide that good material, service, or product, I get to shelter it. That means I get to put it into a bid position where it favors, no guarantees, but it favors small business. Sheltered market is that opportunity to assure that small businesses get to compete against each others and not the big boys. So program, you need to understand all of the definitions, or at least know where to find all the definitions of the Business Opportunity Act. That's your program. So the first thing I tell small businesses, if you're certified in this workshop, certified now what? Know the program. Know what SBE is. Know what CBE is, County Business Enterprise. Know what it is when I do a CBE Gold. Know what it is when we do a CBE Reserve. And guys, all of this is on our website. All of this was also a part of your application process and getting certified. But now I'm just trying to help you understand the tools and which vehicles to use to really go after bids and go after opportunities. So again, the first P is for programs. And I do need to go backwards one more time and talk about house cleaning. If you have a question, stick it in the Q&A, because I'll get to the questions at the end. Don't forget, if you're here, we need to let folks know you're here. So in the chat, say your name and your company's name. Next slide. After program, we want to make sure you understand process. I get it. You're a small business. Some of you are businesses and you're not small, and you're welcome to be a part of our workshops, but you're a business. And in private industry, there's different ways you go about finding out about contracts, bidding on contracts, and being awarded contracts. Some of your best practices in private industries apply in government, but many don't. But we're not here to compare the two. Our job as the Office of Economic and Small Business, focusing on county procurement, is to make sure you understand the county's process. After getting certified, you need to know where you can find information about upcoming bids. You need to know where you can find information about past bids. You need to know where to find information on the county's bid portal. You need to know how to complete a bid application. You need to know when you can communicate with this office and county agencies, and under the name Cone of Silence, when you can't communicate with this office other than one designated person or county procurement or other county agencies. Process, folks. It is our day job to make sure that as a small business, you know the process so you can competently engage the process. You'll never win a bid if you're not bidding or if you're not being signed through an LOI to be on a bid team. You just never get it. So we want to make sure you know the process to bid, how to bid, when to bid, where to find bids, or how to introduce yourself to prime contractors who by goals must use you or businesses like you. Process, guys. After getting certified, our job is to make sure you understand and you know the process. Next P, and this is a key P, and it's called people. The third P is people, program, process, people. And folks, I need to be clear about people. You heard me give the example earlier where in private industry, a lot of what you do as a business, including a small business, you try to meet the owner of something and you want to sell your good, material, or service to them, and you want them to contract with you. You might even go to lunch with them, go to dinner with them, have multiple conversations with them. Those are private industry practices that really don't correlate or align with government practices. And since I'm on people, those private industry meet and greets with those owners are a great thing, but they always don't happen in government. But the reason I got the people as the third P, there are people you need to meet. There are people that we will put you in front of. There are people that you should be targeting, but it's not always the people. Small businesses come and ask me, hey, Mr. McDonald, I want to meet Mark Gale. He's the aviation director. Okay. Mark might take a meeting, And Mark might not take that meeting. But why did you really want to meet Mark? Because, like in private industry, well, he's the CEO of the president. He can help me get a contract. No, he can't. In private industry, maybe, but not here. Mark doesn't sit on any evaluation teams. Mark doesn't make recommendations to his team. Mark certainly doesn't mind knowing the folks who are doing work at the airport. But there's a process and there's people you really could meet. Who needs to know that you're certified? Who needs to know your skill set? Who needs to understand that you have capacity? And there's different ways for us to make sure you reach the right people. And the other key, meet the right people at the right time. Because something I said earlier, cone of silence, that's a period during a bid when you can only have communication with limited people in the county. And that includes purchasing. There's a period during cone of silence when you just can't reach out to a commissioner. You can't reach out to an agency director or folks that work for an agency that's looking to buy something. You can't reach out to this office unless it's my designated person who's one of my supervisors. Cone of silence can get you penalized, can end up having you with a fee, a fine, and can have you removed from county procurement. But we don't want to get you caught up in that because that other P called process, we share these things with you. And I might as well go ahead and give you one of your golden nuggets. Our program and how it's utilized to advantage you, including understanding something like cone of silence, guys, on any bid that the county does, the language about our program, the do's and don'ts about a process are always written in the bid. So if there's ever a goal, if there's ever an opportunity during a bid that a small business is going to be utilized, that's going to be written in the bid. That thing I mentioned about cone of silence, it will be mentioned in every solicitation. It'll be mentioned in every bid documentation, and it'll explain what it means, and it'll tell you who you can see and who you can't see. So for this third P, people, we want you to understand, we'll always try to introduce you to whoever you want to meet. But I got to tell you, because of some ethical requirements, everyone doesn't have to meet with you. I get to be honest with my small businesses. I have agencies that won't meet with you. I have agencies, and no matter what you try to tell me, who don't meet with prime contractors either. They get to stand behind, well, Sandy, you know, with 77,000 businesses in Broward, you say, well, you know, I got multiple architects, you say. So Sandy, I don't meet with one if I can't meet with all, so I don't meet with none. Guys and girls, for our perspective and in our needs, that don't hurt you if they don't meet you. You need to know the real process and the people you need to meet. So I want to be clear, because that's one of the things that comes to me on a regular. And that's why I mentioned, I get it. In private industry, as you're looking for business, as you're looking to do business, you are out here trying to meet the owners of companies or the procurement directors with companies to get into the bid process or win a bid. I get it. You don't have to meet all of those direct people here. You just need to know the program. You really need to know the process. And certainly there are people that we believe you need to meet, and we're going to tell you about them. And in many instances, you will hear this thing called a meet and greet. I'm not going to tell you about them. Whenever we do a meet and greet, I actually bring you into the room with the people who are looking to hire you or people like you. So that's my thing about this third P. Program, process, people. Certified, now what? You need to get your arms wrapped around the program, all of the processes, and identifying or asking our assistants and identifying the right people for you to meet. Program, process, people. So as we go to the next slide, I got Nicole with me. And Nicole, in my chat, I want you to read about 2 or 3 expectations. Some people wrote down when I asked that first poll questions, what's your expectation now that you're certified? Nicole, if you can hear me, cut your mic on and give us 2 or 3 of those out loud of what people said their expectations is now that they're certified.
Yes, I'm here. I'm gonna have to pass it over to Pam. She can see the introductory remarks here.
Ms. Danberg.
So I am looking at them right now. So some of the answers were Brigida said, I want to be ahead of the game. And Shirley said to have a closer connection with our office.
Okay. You know what? Let me stop you there. Don't go with the third one.
You got it.
While we got that gold block sitting right there on the screen, I like both of those. One is to be ahead of the game. And secondly, is to get closer to our office. Guys, for certified now what? And more specific. For this workshop today, that should be your expectation. To learn how to get ahead of the game, as well as how to know via resource, via people, how to get closer with this office. We are your advocates. We're your introduction to opportunities. We're your hot tips on the front end. We're the ones who are fighting for you before a contract, during a contract. We're the ones who are excited about you when winning a contract. You need to make sure we are aware about you, the things you're doing. We'll certainly know the contracts you're bidding on. We'll know the ones you're winning, but through communication, you need to stay in touch with us. Your expectation about getting ahead of the game and your expectation about getting closer to this office, it should lead to an outcome like this fine gold. It should lead to an outcome eventually like this fine gold. Next slide.
Oh, sorry.
The reality, it should reach you or allow you to dream about aligning and getting to that fine goal. But as you see the reality, next slide. The reality, it's about business. And in order to get to that solid piece of gold, the reality is you got to handle your business. So the ideal of the expectation for the outcome is to get to the goal. The reality, like this workshop or why we're here, certified now what? Is to help you get to the goal. Help you, as those 2 people stated, get closer to this office. And yes, I'm going to give you some more real gold nuggets today. How to get ahead of the game. And yes, how to get ahead of your competitors. Guys, this program has never promised that it's not competitive. It is. I am going to put you in rooms during those meet and greets with your direct competition. But just like in private industry, you got to be able to demonstrate your skill set, your uniqueness by which someone wants to do business with you instead of them this time. Business at the end of the day, and I must say this, even with government, business at the end of the day is still business. Our program of getting you certified affords you opportunities to do business under a structured program. But post-certification, guys and girls, it's still business. So those who are willing to handle their business, do the homework, dot the I's, cross the T's, do the information to get ahead of the game, those are the ones that are getting to that goal. It's still business at the end of the day. I don't even like using some of the cliches, take a horse to the water, can't make him drink. We are going to put information and opportunity in front of you, but we're not abandoning you. At the same time, we're going to put information and opportunities in front of you. We will share with you throughout the process of how to take advantage competitively of that opportunity. So that whole idea about the expectation, the whole idea about getting to the goal, the whole idea, if I use those two examples, getting ahead of the game and getting closer to this office, is all about helping you to handle your business. So the next section of this Certified Now What is about CBE and SBE programs and doing business with Broward County. So I always get to this part of the workshop, and I have to say this. As a reminder, put your questions in the Q&A. Our folks, if they can answer it off the bat, they'll answer it, and you and everybody else will know. Other than that, we will entertain questions when I'm done. But on the chat, you're in the chat because you want folks to know you're here. And at the end of the day, you're always networking. You are always presenting yourself as a small business, no question. So as we dive in, this is also when I remind my businesses, most of you, and I mean 90% plus, you were businesses before you ever met me. So however you got into business, however you chose the industry of business to go into, however you currently run your business, kudos. My office and I are here to afford you a pathway if you choose, and you've already started if you got certified, but if you choose to do business with Broward County. Guys, that's what this is about. However you got into business, whatever your industries are, remember, we buy a lot. I don't buy a lot of things. Hopefully you didn't get certified. If I don't buy what you actually provide, that's not being negative, that's being factual. You're too busy. I don't want to waste your time. This is about what the county buys. This is about the goods, materials, and services that we need. This is about finding the vendors and the firms who can provide a service in exchange for compensation. I'm now getting ready to carry you into the portion of Certified Now What and understanding how to do business with Broward County. So let's talk about the SBE. Remember we said program, process people. In the program, it explains my small business enterprise. At the end of the day, my SBE is a reserve opportunity. Some agencies looking to buy something, and as I said earlier, I get to check my directory. And if I got at least 2 firms certified in that good material or service, I then get to shelter it. But this is where I want to be clear. The SBE reserve is an excellent opportunity for my smallest of small businesses to engage the process, to learn how to do county business, how to bid, to learn what the competitive markets are against businesses of their size. But guys, I always got to say this when I speak about my SBE reserve program. It is designed, if I have at least 2 firms, to make sure that the first option, second option, third option, fourth option, fifth option of the county is to award it to one of my small businesses. But historically, sometimes on my SBE reserves, services and goods under $250,000, I might have 3. I reserve it. And unfortunately, sometimes none of my 3 even bids. When I first got here, you know what used to happen? The county would have to start all over again and go to the open market for bids. That's slowing the county's process. So I want to be clear. We still have an SBE reserve program. It is still the spirit and the intent and the process that the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth option is to award this to a responsive and responsible SBE. But if my SBEs aren't responding to a bid, at the same time, we do accept non-SBE bids. But again, it only kicks in when my SBEs don't respond, or if my SBEs are found to be not to be responsive or responsible. No, we're not looking at my non-SBEs. And because he or she over here is lower in dollar value to my SBEs, we don't kick them over here. We don't. The first, second, third, fourth, fifth option is to award this to SBEs. But to have a continuing process, we do allow others to bid. just in case my SBEs don't respond, or just in case my SBEs are found not to be responsible. And that's that other thing about process. The SBE is my best example. Whenever I have 10 or less, and it's an SBE opportunity, my office is calling you. We want you to know how important this is, what we're looking to buy, asking the diligence, do you provide it? And if so, letting you know we're going to shelter this. And when that bid comes, we need you to respond. But we're also busy. Whenever it's more than 10 of you in a certain industry, you'll get an email saying the county agency is looking to buy this good, material, or service. According to the North American Industry Code, you provide this good, material, or service. We just simply want to know through my email, are you interested in responding to this bid when it hits the street? If I get at least 2 of you to respond back, I can shelter it. The only thing I want you to remember is that just like when you go to the program, get your buzzwords. If you get a call or an email and it says SBE, it says sheltered market, you're supposed to say, oh, they're looking to buy something under $250,000. Oh, the ordinance says at least 2 of us have to respond in order for Mr. McDonald's office to shelter it. Hey, if this is something I can do, I need to respond to that phone call or respond to that email. This is learning to do business with Broward County. Did you see that extra step? We're not talking about when the bid hits the street, you on your own. I just told you while we're considering before the bid ever hits the street, we are told by the agency what they're looking to buy, and we have an advantage to check the directory to see if I have any businesses that provide it. Guys, this goes back to that one expectation point. We're getting ready to put you ahead of the curve. If you get that call or that email, the bid isn't even on the street check. It's giving us a chance to decide, shelter it or don't shelter it. If I shelter it, that means I got at least 2 of you. And that means when the time for the response, I need at least 2 of you to respond. That's the connected dot I want you to get as we begin to learn how to do business with Broward County, sheltered market, SBE reserve. That's my first example. Next slide. So let's talk about CBE reserve. Now this goes before gold, and I probably should have gold first, but stay right here. If someone ever tells you, or even if you read a solicitation and it said CBE reserve, that means my office got a request from an agency to buy something. And when we thought we were going to be setting a goal, and the goals start at least 25%, we realized, wait a minute, it looks like 50 or 60 or 70% of this work can be done by my CBEs. So now I need to double check. Do I have enough CBEs who got the qualifications and capacity to do the job? Because if I do, I can reserve it. Remember that sheltered market? 250,000 or less, those are automatics as long as I got 2. For the CBE, this can be a $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million contract. I haven't done 5 since I've been here, and I'll explain why. But this can be up to a $4 million contract that instead of setting a 25% goal, I have the authority to take a $4 million contract if I have enough CBEs that can perform the service, and I can reserve it. So instead of a CBE like the goal, getting 25% of $4 million, we can let a CBE get the entire contract. Because the only rule we have when I do CBE reserve is that all the work must be performed by CBEs. So a CBE can win it. Because when he read the solicitation, he said, wow, I can do 80% of this entire job. I'm going to bid the job. But because it's a CBE reserve, all the work must be done by CBEs. So what does that mean? He can do 80%, he can give the 20% to another CBE. He can divide it 10 and 10 to 2 CBEs. He can divide it 5, 5, 5, 5 to 4 CBEs. The only thing about CBE reserves, that if my office reserves a project for CBEs, all the work must be completed by CBEs. So again, understanding the program and the process, if my office reaches out to you, or if you read a solicitation on your own and you see the buzzword CBE reserve, you need to know, wow, they think it's enough CBEs that can get the work done. Wow, maybe I'll bid on the whole contract and do 60% myself and give 40 to other CBEs. Do 70% myself and give the other 30 to CBEs. Do 90% myself and give the other 10% to CBEs, or do 100% of the job myself as my own CBE. Guys and girls, that's CBE reserve. Again, for reasons of scale, I haven't reserved projects 5, 6, and $10 million. And if you understand our program, you might know why. If you got certified and you're one of my CBEs, your revenue for gross receipts in most industries have to average $5 million or less over 3 years. If you're in construction, it's $9 million or less over 3 years. So based on capacity and scale, the most I've been doing to date has been about $4 million on reserves. I haven't done 5, 7s, and 9s. I got a janitorial that we're looking at. I got janitorials that we've actually been talking about, where it might be some of our first ones over that. But traditionally or historically, it's been the $4 million projects and unders for the reserves. But I would love to look at my directory one day and find out I got enough firms, but more importantly, enough firms with capacity to reserve a $7 million project. Think about it. We want to go there. Next slide. And next slide, you can bypass that one. And this is the meat, the substance, the majority of our CBE activities. And guys and girls, it's about the goal. And I'll just use a real example. The convention center expansion was a 30% goal. The county spent about $180 million to expand the convention center by a little bit more than 400,000 square feet. But it had a 30% goal, and it was a $180 million project. Over $60 million were paid to my small businesses. 49 at that time. It's a different number now, but it was 49 at that time. They exceeded the 30% goal. Most of our projects will be won by prime contractors. And most of those projects will require a CBE goal. The ordinance says it has to be at least 25%. I have some, very few, that's less than 25%, but the majority of my goals are 25% or more. And the reason I'm excited about that, when I first got here, we used to try to average 25. And you all remember that 6th grade math. To average, some high, some low, you're trying to average. We never got there. In 2018, I asked the commission, if you're serious about small business and about the opportunities and about affording them real opportunities to participate in major projects in the county, change average to at least. So in 2018, the county commission changed it at least 25%. So whenever we're reviewing from any agency, the consulting, the accounting, the CPAs, other financial services, training and leadership development, when we're looking at projects that agencies want to do, not just construction, anything, we get to tell the agencies at least 25% of what you're doing need to be done with our small businesses. The goal is the majority of the activities in our program. So when you do read the Business Opportunity Act and you read the program, you'll see the shelter reserve, you'll see the CBE reserve, you'll see all the rest of the definitions, but a lion's share is going to speak to the goal. How at the end of the day, we don't hope to make the goal, We got every intent of meeting, if not exceeding the goal. We don't shock prime contractors. They find out on the front end, they got to meet the goal. This isn't 2002 or 1996. They can't use my small business to win a contract, say they're going to meet a goal, and 2 months later, fire my small business and hire their cousin. That don't happen no more because we monitoring every month. And that ordinance, that Business Opportunity Act, says that only this office can approve substitutions. So if there is a reason that a prime wants to get rid of you, they got to check with us first. And I'm going to tell you everything they say. And then I'm going to tell them everything you say. And then by ordinance, I'm going to bring you together and I'm going to make a decision. But they just can't on their own dump you no more. That day's over. The goal is our biggest program, and it's our biggest opportunity for businesses to get in where they legitimately fit and to grow. It's not about getting in, being happy, and don't do nothing else. Get in to start and to grow. And again, this is across the board. It's not just the trades and the vertical construction. All county procurement we get to look at for potentially setting the goal. Next slide. Goal procurement. We even also make sure that there's preferences. At the end of the day, when it comes to some of the competing opportunities, when it comes to some of the values, there's a chance for us to make sure that if it's neck to neck with one of my CBEs and or primes or someone who's not a CBE, that there's that 10% that we can afford, our CBEs. We try to make sure when we're doing RFPs on that evaluation side, there's a 5% credit that can be given to our CBEs. So there's always things we're trying to do to advantage our CBEs. And guys and girls, the good part about this, that's just not my program. This is also etched into the procurement code. We're trying to assure legitimate opportunities for small business. Don't get me wrong, we're all taxpayers. We're not going to be allowed to pay 30, 40, 60% times market value just because you're a small business. It's not going to happen. But we are going to be able to recognize that there's some value considerations that should be given to small businesses as a part of the process. That's what this is about. So I wanted to be crystal clear. You can't come, remember, this is also the Office of Economic and Small Business Development. So no, we're not just getting ready to pay 30, 40, and 50% more. But yes, we understand the challenges and the opportunities of our small businesses compared to the big boys. So we do have a formula where we can try to make sure that you can be engaged, even if sometimes your prices might vary in terms of being a little more than the non-CBE. That's what this is about. Next slide. Poll question 2. What certifications do you have? And guys, there's a whole bunch of certifications, even more than my local. SBE, CBE, DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, that's under the federal program. ACDBE, Airport Concessions, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. This is us just wanting to know on this call today, and it looks like it's a little bit more than 80 of us. Who am I working with? Who's here? And if you don't know some of those acronyms, then you want to get to know some of those acronyms because you might be eligible for some of those acronyms. So you might be my CBE because this is certified now what? But you might need to know what a DBE is and an ACDBE is. So next slide. Moving along. Certified now what? One of the things we want to get to, some bid, do's, and don'ts. This is supposed to be about education. And guys, I get it. And this is the only course that I do this with. I'm lying. I take that back. This is one of the courses I do this with because my entrepreneurship course, yep, those are really 2.5 hours. This one isn't 2.5 or 3 hours, but it is 2 for the most part. And I get it. I hope you can stay. I hope if you go away, you get what you need or you know where to come back and get it. This information is important, and we're not going to continue to be a dinosaur. So much of what I do, my staff is changing from podcasts to 5-minute videos to virtuals. We're doing that. But this is the one that I still need to spend time making sure you get it. So this one takes a little time, but I get it. I'm 80 plus now. If I look up in 20 minutes and I'm down to 70, that means some people had to go. But a lot of what I'm saying, you can also find on my website. So I'm not even going to go through the do's and don'ts, but I want you to know we just did a series specifically with purchasing that you can find through a website of mine that will lead you to our YouTube website of how to do business with purchasing, including the last workshop, which actually walked them through how to complete a Broward County bid. That's crazy, but that's factual. We have shown you through purchasing, there's a video through YouTube in our office that you can learn exactly how to do a county bid. You can also learn all the necessary documents you will need when bidding. You can also learn all the aspects in terms of rules and requirements that you must meet when you're bidding. And the first workshop was familiarizing my small businesses with procurement and their alignment with our office. All 4 of those videos through our website will lead you to our YouTube link where you can see those. But we have things like this on the bids, do's, and don'ts. And the key thing is, I'm government versus private industry. Next slide. One of the things you need to understand is responsiveness and responsibility. In short, if they ask you for something in a bid, you got to present it. You also have to be able to demonstrate that you can do what you said. So guys, this is no longer about small business. This is just business. If you're responding to a county bid, if the bid asks you for document A, B, C, D, and E, you can't send in A, B, and C. What happened to the D and the E? You can't send in A and E. What happened to the B, C, D? You must be responsive. Responsibility, a solicitation may only be awarded to a vendor who is determined that they're responsible to provide the good. In short, I said it earlier, you got to be able to do what it is you said you can do. And there's going to be questions. Ask for references. You're going to have to be within a market value. There's a lot of ways to determine if you're responsible, responsive and responsible. So on the main factors of do's and don'ts, certified now what? When you evolve into the process, when you're ready to respond to bids, you have to respond by doing everything, answering everything, and presenting everything that they ask you for in the bid. And the other part, you got to demonstrate that you can do it. I'm going to spend some time right here. You got to demonstrate that you can do it, because remember our program. Remember when you got certified with me? I asked you the name of your company, when you was incorporated, give me some addresses, give me some affiliates, tell me what it is you do, and if it requires a license or a certification, show it to me. If you did all those things, dot the I's, cross the T's, if you met my personal net worth, if you were lower than the gross receipts, and if you provide a useful function, that means in the course of your day-to-day, you do something that I'm buying, I certified you. See, that's the purpose of certification. I certified you. This is about a bid. Someone wants to now know, yeah, you told Mr. McDonald you were a certified electrician. You even showed Mr. McDonald that you had your license. I need to know, can you do the job? So after the responsiveness of sharing everything that the bid asks for, they have a right to determine, based on what you share, if you can do the job. So for all of my do's and don'ts, one of my key do's and don'ts in terms of understanding, when you respond to bids, and we have some small businesses, I have some recently, the end of last year, 2, if not 3, who lost major bids by not turning in the proper documents, who lost major bids. I'm not talking about no $1 or $2 million. I mean, some millions, because it was multiple opportunities, because they didn't turn in the right documents or they had the numbers wrong. I said one thing in the application, says something different in the backup documentation. It is important for do's and don'ts of bids to do them timely, to do them in advance. Guys and girls, we're in this day and age of technical. Don't send your bid in or try working on your bid the last hour before it's due. You should make it a habit. 6 hours to 1 day before a bid's due, you need to be submitting it. Anything can happen. You don't want to wait to that last hour or two. Responsive and responsible is where I want you to make sure you hang your hat when it comes to certified now what? As I understand the program and the process, and I want to begin to bid, I need to always make sure as a part of the bid, I'm responsive and responsible. Next slide. Types of solicitation. And again, more of this in depth is on our website or in that workshop we did with purchasing. You got quotes and bids, you got RFPs, you got RLIs. And again, you can learn the breadths of those, the details of those through working with us and our process. But for a course today called Certified Now What, you need to be aware. There's at least 3 different types of bids we do: quoting bids, requests for proposals, as well as requests for letter of interest. And they have different defines or different definitions as to why the county and the county agency in purchasing are using those. You're responding in different manners. Those have different outcomes. Those have different evaluation criteria. But again, you're not left alone. Those are the things we work with you on. Those are the things that purchasing works with you on. Those are the things that on those slides or on that YouTube channel, you can find out more about each of these. That's a part of this process with bids. Next slide. Making Periscope S2G a habit. This is about bids now, remember? I'm teaching you process. I'm sharing information. Certified now what? What do I need to do? One of the things you definitely need to do is learn the bid portal. Learn the system the county is using to notify you of a bid. Learn how to read that information. Learn when and how to ask questions about bids in that same system. Learn how to identify who else is considering bidding. Yeah, there's a list of folks who, based on this information being disseminated, those who are looking or those who may have uploaded, you can begin to identify alliances as well as potential partners based on who all got this information. You want to learn and understand Periscope. It's the county's bid portal. This is what we use to announce bids. This is what we use if we got to change or amend a bid or extend the bid date. This is what we're going to do when we get ready to award a bid. All the information is in this system. So you're going to need, as a quality do and don't, this is a do, learn as much as you can and make Periscope S2G, that's our bid portal, your best friend. Next slide. Doing business with Broward County. This is what I spoke about, that 4-part series that we did with purchasing, video training series available right now on our youtube.com. You can really find out what purchasing needs, what purchasing requires, and how purchasing can navigate you through the process to a successful bid. That's exactly why we did those 4 workshops with purchasing. We don't want you guessing. And we certainly don't want your first bid to be the first time you looked in the system, or your first bid to be the first time you understood the words. That's why we did the workshop, and that's why we have samples on our website. Next slide. Network. Every chance you get, prior to solicitations, during meet and greets, reading that chat while you're trying to pay attention to me, but reading that chat, familiarizing yourself with names. The county sometimes on some projects have pre-bid meetings. I try to do meet and greets on all major county projects. Our Wednesday night newsletter, one's coming out tonight, You want to try to network as often as possible. You don't know when you need someone else to join you as a part of a bid, and you don't know when somebody else needs you to join them as a part of a bid. And I always tell my small businesses, you just don't know when someone wants to procure your good and service, but they sat next to you during a whole presentation and never had an idea. So I'm really not talking about today, though you can get info out the chat, but take advantage when we do the face-to-face workshops, take advantage when we do the conference in June, meet some other small businesses that potentially can align with you to help grow your opportunities. And you always, guys, right now, this minute, right after this workshop, you always got access to the small business directory. You're now certified. You should be in my directory. If you just want to know who are the architects, you can go to my directory and pull up all the architects who are certified. You want to know who are the marketing and advertising firms, you can go to my directory and you can pull those up. You want to know who it is that at some point could potentially be an asset to you as you go through the bid process. Next slide. Engage. Folks, don't let me tell you about all this information. Don't let you discover that we got Twitter, Facebook, IG, and you not engage the process. Don't let me tell you about a Wednesday night newsletter. You get the newsletter, but never open it. These are some of the tips to that person's expectation earlier to get ahead of the game. I'll just give you one of the secrets. In that Wednesday night newsletter, every Wednesday, we're giving you hot tips on projects that we reviewed, which agency or city, if it's like Surtax, is doing it, what the dollar value is, what's the recommended goal we're setting, and the type of scopes they need. If you heard about that in March for a project that doesn't even go out for bid till June, you had March till June to get ahead of the game about identifying what your opportunities might be. Or do you need to identify some of the potential primes who might need to use someone like you? Or do you need to realize that you can probably put your own team together and you go after it as the prime? Engage means don't let my weekly newsletter, don't let these social media platforms, don't let my email blast, don't let this office website all be for naught because you're not engaging the process. That's one of the golden nuggets. I tell you things legally in advance in the Wednesday night newsletter. I'm going to use an example. We had two meet and greets because the county's building a new supervisor of election building. And we had two meet and greets, one at the end of last year, one at the beginning of the year. We had two meet and greets. But we told our businesses as early as April, the county's going to build a new supervisor of election building. It's going to be X million of dollars. It's going to be a 30% goal on those X number of dollars. And Core Construction is the prime contractor. Back in April of last year, we said be on the lookout for future meet and greets. I think I'm going to get my dates wrong, but this process is right. That was April. I think I did a meet and greet in September, and I did a meet and greet in November. I announced the project. I said who the contractor was. I said the dollar value, and I even said the goal, and I even told you the scopes they're looking for in April and in May. So I'm happy that a lot of firms showed up for the two meet and greets, but you're missing it. Yes, you need to be at the meet and greet, but I'm gonna use that electrical example again. He's gonna need some electrical work. Someone's gonna be there to talk to you about electrical work. Hypothetically, I got 10 small businesses certified in electrical work. 8 of those small businesses show up at this meet or greet. So all 8 of you now are trying to convince them that you're the one that he needs to pick. Folks, are you following me? I told you back in April and May, what he need. I told you who he was. I told you what the goal was. I'm glad you showed up in September for the meet and greet. But to differentiate yourself, if you my electrical contractor from the other 7, since there's 8 of you, sometimes back in April, May, June, July, or August, you should have reached out to the company. You should have sent emails. You should have sent your capability statements. You should have made some phone calls. You should have made sure somebody at that company knew your name. Because if you're fortunate enough, and you should be, to show up at the meet and greet, whether they answered your call or your emails or not, you have one opportunity to differentiate yourself from the other 7 electrical contractors. You could be at this meet and greet and tell them, hey, I've been calling your office since April or May. Or, hey, I spoke to so-and-so back in April or May. Or, hey, I'm already under your pre-qualified criteria for consideration. It's your job. That's what Engage is about. It's your job to know, not Hansel and Gretel. This ain't about me laying down little tips, roads for you to follow your way. This is business. If I'm affording you an opportunity to gather information in April about something that will happen later in the fall, and you're told in advance it's going to happen, it's your job to do your homework. So when I put you in front of these people, you in a competitive environment can begin to differentiate yourself from your competitors. We support all small businesses. This is where business is business. You still got to sell you. We even do workshops to help you with your pitch. Because sometimes you get 30 seconds, sometimes you get 90 seconds, you might get 3 minutes, but you still need to be clear about what you're saying. So Engage, guy, is real. A lot of different ways to stay engaged, a lot of different ways for us to share information. And at the end of the day, some of this is valuable even outside of government. Some of this is just best business practice. When you can find out about information in advance, it ain't because you just want to know in advance. It's because you want to do homework to put yourself in a better position for the opportunity. Next slide. Create a strategy to stay engaged. So you are busy. So I'm glad out of 84, I still got 82, only lost 2. I'm glad you're here, but this is real. Create a strategy to stay engaged. You're busy, folks. I'd be thoroughly disappointed in you if I had 9 workshops between now and June and you attended all 9. If you attend all 9 of my workshops, that means you ain't out there making no money. So see, I get it. I know you can't attend every single one of my workshops. That's why we do some in the morning, some in the afternoon, some in the evening. We do meet and greets, some in the day, some in the evening. We do some weekend activities. We try to spread it around because we know you need to create a strategy of how to stay engaged. You need to create a strategy on how to get this information. That's why so much of it is put on our website. You can get to it in your own leisure. You can come behind this and get it for the second time. Or if you miss me today, you can still get it next week. We do that intentionally. But guys, we're owning the responsibility of knowing you're small. So you can't do everything. So my biggest tip in this regard is staying engaged. Create a strategy. If you're a subscriber and you get my Wednesday night newsletter, then you might decide you're going to go to the hot tips section. Though you get the newsletter on Wednesday night, it's going to be your first 2 hours on a Saturday morning. Or it's going to be the close of business on a Friday. Or even though the newsletter came out on a Wednesday, you'll read it on the following Monday. Whatever your strategy is your strategy. You'll check my events calendar and you'll see in advance the type of workshops that we're doing. And based on those workshops, you decide which ones you can go to, which ones maybe another staff member can go to, or which ones you know is of importance, but we can't go to, but you're going to confirm with this office that it's going to be videoed so you can catch it later. Create your own strategy. Emails are going to come. I told you on the shelter side, if it's 10 or more, we got to make sure we're communicating. We can't make a whole bunch of calls, so we're going to email. If it's 10 or less, we're going to be doing it by calls. Make sure that you have an understanding of how to receive information from us, because again, we're trying to notify you in advance, and sometimes we're trying to notify you so we can decide. Is it sheltered market? Is it CBE reserve? Is it gold? You need to create a strategy to stay engaged that works for you, and I get to own it for you. I know you're busy and you got to work and you got to make money, so I have no expectations that you attend every single one of my events. You can't, but I need you to know that you always have access to this office and all of our information. That's why you want to stay in tune with the newsletter and with our website. Next slide. Do your homework. Next slide. Do your homework is key. A lot of different groups and organizations based on what we do, what the state does, with federal, that can assist you in bids, assist you with documentation, assist you with information. Do your homework means find information wherever you can, starting with us. You need help doing bids. There's different organizations that help people with bids as well as grants. Some are free, some is a fee, F-E-E. We try to provide everything you need at different times for free with the R, F-R-E-E. But we also get it. It's so much that we're doing and trying to do. We can't do everything we do 5 days a week, once a week, or even once a month. This workshop itself, Certified Now What, only takes place twice a year. It'll be posted on my calendar so somebody can go back and hear it, but it only takes place this way twice a year. Do your homework means that there's other agencies, other organizations, other parts of my office, the economic development side, that can help you in so many areas. Find those organizations, find out what their services are, and if or when you need them, use them. Do your homework. Don't struggle with the potential bid when there's information about how to bid. Don't wait till a bid is due to say you need clarity on a scenario when within the solicitation process, they gave you a window of 2 to 3 weeks when you can ask all the questions you wanted. And I want to be clear, because I've heard some consultants say this and I agree and I totally disagree. Do not, in a bid process, be afraid to ask questions. You only know what you know, and what you don't know, you need to know. During the Q&A period of a bid, ask questions. I have heard consultants caution small businesses, well, don't ask too many questions. They're going to think that you don't know, and then they're going to count that against you. False. You need to ask questions because you don't know. You need to ask questions because you need to be clear. Because you heard me earlier. When you submit your bid, there's this thing called responsive and responsible. And you can't be in the game talking about you didn't know. Folks, in short, ask questions. During the bid process, when that window is open to ask questions. But there's also other agencies and organizations in addition to mine that can help you with your homework as you prepare to be a part of bid processes. Homework. You gotta still do your homework. Next slide. And speaking of homework, these next couple of slides, just pay attention to the number at the bottom, 954-677-JOBS. 5627 in place of jobs. 954-677-JOBS. You need to know your Career Source Broward. Folks, I'm saying this. Career Source Broward on our behalf is our workforce development agency. Career Source Broward on our behalf gets funds from Career Source Florida, who gets money from the DOL, Department of Labor. And this is all about making sure employers have access to employees have access to employment opportunities, where there's a need for training and for grants and for stipends and for supplements to support someone looking for a job or looking for a career, or when agencies or organizations or companies are looking to change the way in which they do business and they need training. Funds, money is available through Career Source. on behalf of the state and the federal government. And if you, I'll say as an example, that's why I want you to make your own call, have employees or looking for employees and you're paying, I'll say like under $48,000 a year for your employees. And if training, I think the number doesn't matter, you can potentially get supplemented support from CareerSource. Go to the next slide. In short, you're looking to do some hiring. And from internship programs paid by CareerSource or to going through their process, letting them help you find your employees. There's some chances at times they, for 6 or 7 months, can pay 50 or 60% of the salary of that employee that you hiring through the federal programs. It is somewhat complicated, which is why I say I try not to explain it all in 3 slides. My recommendation is for every business in Broward, especially my small businesses in Broward, is to your financial bottom line to make a call to CareerSource to find out the different services, including paid services, they can potentially provide to businesses, including small businesses. This isn't a commercial for them because I like them and don't like other agencies. In case you didn't know, there's CareerSource Broward type organizations in every state. Where I'm from in Michigan, it's called Michigan Works, but it's 100% the same thing. You need to know where, as a small business on your bottom line, where there's some potential funding, training, paid internships, and other supports you can get that doesn't cost you money. CareerSource just happens to be that for us in Broward. There's a CareerSource Miami. There's a CareerSource Palm Beach. They're all throughout the state. But you need to know that as a small business, there are some HR and some other resource support services available to you. Next slide. And the next one. Here we go. Okay, I'm ready. Now what? Certified, now what? Program process people, understanding procurement, understanding do's and don'ts, making sure you do your homework, and giving you a little insight to one of the resources like CareerSource that's available. So question, okay, I'm ready. Now what? Next slide. If you're ready, guys and girls, there's real opportunities. Broward County still procures about $1 billion in goods, materials, and services every year. And based on all the things we buy, we try to make sure at least 25% of small businesses are used and paid. So if they're doing $1 billion, you got your own math going, what's 25%? Yep, 250 million. I should be breaking my neck along with this office to make sure at least 250 million every year is spent with small businesses. That hotel, as a part of the convention center expansion, over $1 billion project, is still going. We're getting ready to get into the dives, the devil in the details, for the vertical construction of the hotel component. That's about $640 million. And there will be a 25% goal on that hotel. But what you also need to know, we're negotiating with Omni. Our flag name is going to be Omni. It's going to be an Omni hotel. That for the things that the Omni will buy, that's not a part of the Omni national brand, they're going to do a Buy Broward program. They're going to need things like valet. That's not a part of a national brand. They say they buy seafood, and that's not national. They want to get it local. They're going to need like linen services, dry cleaning, laundry services, different things that the Omni will need to operate. If it's not a part of their day-to-day national brand that you see it all over the country the same, they're going to be buying from Broward and a Buy Broward local program. So in addition to me setting goals for the construction, we want to make sure small businesses have opportunities year-round in that facility. The port is doing its master plan, is doing its expansion. There's a project right now with a 30% goal of my CBEs working because, you know, we got Disney coming. That project got to be done this October. Disney's going to start porting out of here, no longer Miami. That's a project we won. That's a project I got small businesses on as we speak. There are real opportunities right here in Broward right now with more. Next slide. So if you're ready, now what did you know? That's the other part of that convention center expansion. I talked to you originally about the expansion, but for the entire project to date, 72 million and some change. 72 million and some change. And I know I run my mouth. I know this workshop is allowing me to run my mouth. I know there's a lot to read. Do not sleep. And this is just one example on the fact that to date, since 2019, 2019 or so, $72 million have found its way as a total into the pockets, and staff can correct me. I don't know if I got it on the other slide. It used to be 49. I got about 56 small businesses who at the end of the day has generated over $72 million in activity. Smallest contract, somewhere around 5,700. Largest contract, over 8 million. But everything in the middle, to date, over 72 million has found its way to our certified small businesses. And as I told you, I still got about 580 to over 640 million for a new hotel that needs to be built. Real opportunities are happening right now. Next slide. Another example on projects that did occur where my CBEs were the primes or my CBEs were just subs. But at the end of the day, this is just to show you, we might run our mouths, but CBEs are getting paid. And if you're noticing some of these, it's not all construction. You got some professional service, A&E stuff. You got some marketing and advertising stuff. We got community relationship stuff. Again, whatever the county's procuring, including some of our new initiatives like surtax, we're excited now because even cities got to use my small businesses when they're using surtax money. So this is just a reminder. We might be talking a lot, but I don't want you to get it twisted. This workshop about certified now what is also to remind you that I've done some past certified now what, and I've had some CBEs to pay attention to the now what, to do their homework, to learn the program, learn the process, meet the right people, participate in bids, align themselves with primes, and CBEs are being paid. See, that's what's real. You heard me say in the beginning, this program and all small business programs across the country, they're for naught if you guys are small businesses not making money. See, and I get to say that openly because I can't guarantee you go ever win a contract. I can't guarantee you versus her, her versus her, her versus him, but I can guarantee you that some small businesses certified in our program who's handling their business is winning this money. And we're equal opportunity. I shared this, as you see, we're on here today with everybody. If they're missing it today, they still get to go see it on my website or in YouTube. This information is here. That last question is, are you ready? Now what? And that's the point we're at right now. Now what? Folks are winning. How do we get you to that point of engaging the process and get you to competitively winning? Next slide. One of our initiatives that you need to be aware of, and this is new, started in 2019. We passed the penny for transportation. Then we called it surtax. The official name is MAP, Mobility Advancement Program Broward. Guys, the county collects about $355 million a year for 30 years. That's about $16.8 billion. And we allowed on eligible projects to set goals and require county and cities who touch this money to work with small businesses. This penny for 30 years, and you got 26 years to go, can only be used transportation operation, transportation services, infrastructure projects in the county and the 31 cities in the future of rail. That's correct. By the end of 25, 26, I think, you're going to get your first rail that we're responsible for. That somebody will fly into the airport, FLL, they'll catch the rail and get that terminal ride to the port or to the convention center. We'll eventually in Broward County have rail from the beach to Sawgrass. You pass that, it's a 30-year initiative. I won't be here at the end, but I can promise you by the time you in year 25, 26, someone's going to say it's going so good, extend it for another 30 years. What am I saying? It is totally unacceptable that if you have a $16.8 billion project over 30 years, where we know at least 1.6 billion based on eligible activity can find its way to small businesses, is unacceptable for small businesses not to get paid, for us not to create some multi-millionaire businesses. We're not afraid of saying that, not embarrassed to say that. I need businesses in Broward to grow because you're going to help my county and my county and my economy if you grow. I don't fear you're going to grow and move to Tennessee. I love the fact that you're going to grow and you'll do more hiring here. You'll expand your operations here. You'll bring more competitive business here. We want you to grow, and this happens to be one of the initiatives that the county's doing, and it has 26 more years remaining, minimum, that there are small business opportunities. You need to learn about penny for transportation, or whether you call it surtax, or whether you call it MAP Broward, which means Mobility Advancement Program Broward. Next slide. To date, 56 projects awarded, 30% goal for surtax. My county, at least 25. Surtax is 30. We're right now averaging 31% for the goals that we're setting. 68.2 million projected in the CBE awards. So off of the 56 projects, for all that could be paid to everyone, we're looking at 68.2 million of that can go to small businesses on these 56 projects. 26.2 million paid to CBEs. So that means right now I got a list of 78 firms who's been participating on 56 projects that totals right now 26 million and some change paid. That's just this initiative. That's not the other county's courthouse projects. That's not the supervisor of election project. That's not the port project for Disney. That's not the airport project. That's not the convention project. That's this initiative alone. And remember, 26 more years to go. You want to learn about MAP. Don't sleep on MAP. This isn't just asphalt. This isn't just street improvement. This is consulting. This is service financial. This is marketing. This is community relations. You want to read all the different things that go into how these funds are spent and how county projects and city projects need different small businesses. Next slide. Right now, MAP Broward, the CBE industry, based on projects that's awarded, these are all the different things, all the different types. Like I said, asphalt, concrete, streets and signalization, communication and marketing, public relations and outreach involvement, data collection, cost estimating, environmental engineering, permitting services, irrigation services, land surveying. So for the contracts we are aware of today, for the awards that we've made to date, for the small businesses who are participating and being paid to date, these are the different industries they've been winning contracts in the MAP program. So it's more than just asphalt and concrete and landscaping. All of these different areas. So again, I know you were in the chat earlier. I don't know who's around. But if you do any of these things, understand, we're at the beginning. 26 more years of this. 28 of the 31 cities have interlocal agreements to use this money. Those are city relationships you need to have, and the county is going to use those money. Those are relationships with this office you need to have to understand MAP Broward. Next slide. Certified now what? Top 5 CBE industries on awarded project. Surveying and mapping, construction, heavy and healthy, electrical, engineering, communications, and marketing. That's just taking everything off the last screen and just simply saying what the top 5 actually were. Next slide. And again, just some more examples of companies who have won contracts and what their CBE commitments were and what the estimated dollars are. Again, we want to make sure that we're factual. We're telling you that folks are winning. And again, you one of ours, we don't mind giving your name. So we hope you ain't trying to hide no money. You are part of the government. We have to be transparent. We share information. Those CBE firms, they've won contracts. Not the 2s and the 300,000 only. You see $1.7 million, you see 3 million, you see 3.9. We are making sure things happen for our CBEs. As that says up top, CBEs are winning. Next slide. And I think that's some of the same, just more dollar values, different projects by cities, different project names. Next slide. It's survey time. We need your feedback. There's going to be a survey question asking you about who we are, how we doing, what your thoughts are. We are serious about our surveys because we need to hear from you. And we need to make sure that we're bringing you information that you need, that you want. More importantly, that's helpful. So we want to take a few seconds to allow you. I still have 73 of you or so. So that means I've lost the good side of about 9 of you. We want to, or 11, to take a look at the survey and to respond to our survey if you can. Thank you kindly. We'll take a few more seconds. This doesn't take that long for you to answer the customer satisfaction survey. Thank you kindly. Thank you kindly. Okay, let's move past the survey. Thank you again, because I think I'm going to get into the Q&A, folks. I want to take the time to try to answer some of your questions. I get it. This is a lot of information and a 90-minute session. We could really be here talking for 5 hours, but you have me talking to myself because all of you will be gone by then. We want you to understand, as I say, with all of our workshops, we'll never be able to get to everything we want to offer you. That's why we extend the invitation for you to stay engaged. That's why we try to do not only these Q&As, but you have the option always. Email this office, call this office, or yes, starting with me. You can meet with me, and then you can meet with my managers. You can meet with the staff who are going to be working with you closely. We don't want to leave you hanging. We're being serious about the fact that me and my staff can never promise you're going to win. So you never hear us tell that lie. I'm never going to promise you're going to win. But there's enough information that makes you more than dangerous. There's enough information that will allow you to be competitive in the process and based on the business you chose before you met me, based on the industry you're supposed to know better than me, based on the quality of service, of product and good that you can deliver, you have a chance to be a contractor with Broward County. The program ordinance says as much. Again, I can't promise you a win, but with the things I just shared, the information I can give you in advance, where I can tell you what to find, what you need to know before a bid ever comes out, where I can remind you and show you at the end of the day where there's partnerships and other information and resources that can help you build a better bid. The fact that we will go the extra mile and hold meet and greets where you can meet the people who got to select you or somebody else in the room. Or the fact, like I said, even though the meet and greet happens, I can potentially give you information 4 to 5 months in advance to allow you to do your own networking before you ever get to a meet and greet. That's our day job. The bid, post-certification is simple. You got certified, congratulations. There's a program. We wish you well. That's what most programs across the country do. Got you certified, you're connected to the bids. I wish you well. We are intentional about doing more. That's why we do this workshop. That's why we do the other workshops. That's why we're going to have the conference in June. That's why we do the meet and greets. That's why we make sure you meet the right people, not just the people you think. That's why we make sure you understand the process And that's why we make sure you got access to the program. You don't want somebody to tell you something that's not true, whether it's a user agency, purchasing mistakenly, or a prime contractor. You want to know the program because anyone who's participating in county procurement, if a small business goal or reserve is applicable, they got to follow the program. That's why you either need to know this program or have access to that Business Opportunity Act ordinance where you can always read this program. So Pam, here we go. Let's take some Q&A.
You got it. We've got some great questions today. Let's warm up. So Mr. Kevin says, I'm having a tech prep training. I have a tech prep training academy. Are there any opportunities for companies looking for tech trainers?
So that's a good question. You just told us, and I think if I'm reading this right, you are a for-profit business and you have a tech training course. At the end of the day, because again, there's over 77,000 businesses in Broward, and fair and equitable. I can't support or promote your company without promoting the others. So what we tell people like you definitely want to take advantage of our events calendar, of our networking sessions, and as an example of the upcoming conference. 2 reasons for the conference. One, in the Wednesday night newsletter, the conference speaks about looking for presenters. We try to find industry experts based on different workshops we're going to have that day to present. That's one way to share who you are and what you do. So I want to be clear. Even when we pick our presenters, we don't say they're the best thing since sliced bread. And we don't pick presenters to require my audience to buy your service. We pick presenters to put industry experts in front of our audience to get information. And we understand business. If the information you're sharing ends up being invaluable and somebody or several bodies in the audience decides that they want to engage with you, that's a business choice that they can make. We just try to put professionals in front. But we also have an opportunities for vendors. We have a lot of small businesses who say, hey, you really do have over 700 businesses in this room for the whole day. I never knew that. So some decides to be vendors and put their booths and their tables up to engage my business audience and other resource folks. So your idea, I can't use it. However, are there businesses that need your training that you're providing? Yes. Are there different workshops that even we do with innovation, technology, and entrepreneurs who could take advantage of it? Yes. Is there actually even a group called AERO, Alliance of Entrepreneurial Resource Organizations, who work with startups and entrepreneurs in the area of tech, who might then need to use or contract your services? Yes. So you can still send that question back to us. I will give it to my ED division. And as one strong recommendation, you need to meet all of my AERO partners. Because if you have a tech training that you can provide, some of them might need that service.
All right. Next question. Is there anything that can be done about the Florida Senate Bill 346?
And whoever asked that question, thank you. In short, for my remaining 62 audience, there's a bill that at the end of the day, I've already conceded one part. Since I've been here for 10 years this May, the state has always wanted me to stop setting small business goals when I use state money. It looks like now they're going to be the victor. I'm not going to be able to set my small CBE goals when every one of my agencies touch state money. But this bill that's just described, it goes beyond that. The state's now trying to tell me, for everything I told you today, certified now what? Hey, Sandy, we don't want you to set small business goals even when you use Broward's money. Folks, we're fighting that. I sent a letter to every one of my small businesses, to every one of my chambers, to all our commissioners. Broward County got our lobbyists and our intergovernmental agency attorneys all up in Tallahassee. We've been there since last week. We're there with our partners in Miami as well as Palm Beach. I don't know what's going on in the north side of the state, but it is totally unacceptable for the state of Florida to now decide that you're going to tell Broward County what it can and can't do with Broward County's money. I get it. State of Florida, you can tell me that I can't put a local goal when I'm using your money. But I got an issue about you telling me I can't put a goal when I use my money. So we're fighting it. You need to understand your county is fighting it. Your commission is fighting it. And all of our partners, we're fighting it. I think we will be successful. Can't make no promise, but we're going to fight it till at the end of the day. The same email I sent, hopefully sometime down the road, I can send another email simply saying thank you to everyone, and we've been successful. That's not today. So even in my newsletter tonight, I'm going to mention this bill and tell everyone who reads this, you need to be concerned about a state who's now trying to dictate to the counties throughout the state what they do with their own funds. So it is a challenge. Thanks for asking it. But in short, we're fighting it. We do not agree.
Thank you, Sandy. Miguel asks, since our business is in Miami, is it mandatory to have an address and an LBT in Broward in order to be certified?
And it is. Guys, it is for a lot of different reasons. And even the reason I just described with the state. Historically, 1992 to 2004, we were all one big happy family. We even had the MBE, MWBE program. When that got challenged based on not having a diversity study that demonstrated we should carve things out for women and minority, the counties created a local program. Miami created a local program. Palm Beach created a local program. So all three of us here in South Florida, not counting Monroe, we have a local program. And the requirement is the first priorities are to our businesses who are here. So we're clear. I need a business to be in Broward at least 1 year with a physical approved address, with a city and a Broward County business license tax receipt. I need a business who is operating here and in the industry upon which they're operating. They provide a good material, service, or product that the county's looking to buy. If we can match that, along with matching my financial criteria for personal net worth, as well as for gross receipts, they can be certified. You have to have a physical location here. You can't be a virtual business. You can't have a PO. And the same is true. Let's be open. Miami doesn't have that reciprocity with me, and I don't have that reciprocity with Miami. The last reciprocity we had with Miami were different procurements. Miami can look at us as local. We can look at Miami as local. On the record, Miami sent Broward the letter in 2016 that was read into the commission at 2017 that Miami no longer wanted to have reciprocity. They walked away from the partnership. So at the end of the day, it hasn't come back yet. So yes, you need to have a physical operating presence in Broward County and be here, not 10 or 20, at least 1 year operating in order to be certified to take advantage of everything you just heard me say as a part of this certified now what?
I was going to answer this one, but it's such a good question. I'm going to let you answer it. Is a subcontractor allowed to join more than one team if asked by multiple primes for the same project?
Not only if asked, but a subcontractor should try to be on more than one team. Back in the day, and this is where you got to stand up as men and women and tell me, back in the day, a prime might say, hey, if I signed you to my contract as a part of this bid team, you got to sign this document that you won't be on anyone else's. That's over. If there's potentially 4 primes, you want to try to be on all 4 teams. And we have an ordinance, Business Opportunity Act, know your ordinance, know the program, that says they can't require you to be exclusive. So yes, you want to knock on all 4 doors if you think there's 4 potential primes. And yes, if for whatever reason, because they love you, all 4 primes knock on your door, sign an LOI with all 4. Because in the end, only one of them go win. So why cut your chances short? This is on your behalf. What I tell the primes, wait a minute. My goal is at least 25. And there's a chance that even as a prime, if you date 25, you might give 110, 110, and 15. There's no promise my small business go get the whole 25. So let's think about it. How can I let you as a prime make my CBE exclusive? That's not fair. We know you as a prime, if I got a 25% goal, you taking 75% home. So how is it fair that my little guy only gets the chance to talk to one of you? So to answer your question, you have every right to be on as many prime contracts as a part of the bidding process as you like. And you need to open your mouth if you attempt to do so and a prime asks you not to. So let's have real talk. Yes, they go ask you not to because they don't want to. Yes, they go ask you not to because they're also trying to put their platform together of who they're going to use. Yes, they're going to ask you not to, but you need to understand sometimes they get 10 of you to send in LOIs, but when they actually send in their bid, they're only using 3 of you and 7 of you was removed from competition. Don't fall for their games when we recognize it. That's why we created an ordinance. And we're not just telling you, it's in the bid solicitation. Primes are told in advance, you can't require my CBEs to do exclusivity with you. So let's be clear, because I still hear those mumblings, but I only know what y'all telling me. But in that program ordinance, whip it out one day. That exclusion is not allowed. They cannot require you to be exclusive.
Sandy, Royal Snacks asks, can I certify 2 businesses with the same owner?
So think about that. Can you certify 2 businesses with the same owner? Businesses are who's certifying with me. Owners are who's adjacent to the business. This is a small business program, not a small person program. So think, if you have a business and your business provide a good material or service that the county procures, certify that business. 2 months later, 2 years later, 20 years later, you opened another business that does something else. You're the same owner, but you provide a good material or service that the county procures or buys. Certify that business. If it's like business and you're just adding different NACE codes, one owner, one certification, multiple disciplines. So you don't really need to do 2. Like if I'm an architect, and sometimes architects aren't engineers, sometimes they are, but I'm an architect and I'm an engineer, and at the same time I do additional design work, and at the same time I'm a GC, I'm one company. If that's what I told Sunbiz, I'm one company with multiple disciplines and NACE codes. So yes, a single owner can certify 2 businesses if that fits within our certification and a NACE code, or a single owner can certify his business that has multiple NACE codes that he can demonstrate that he or she can provide these services, or that he and she has the education, the professional experience, or the license or the certification to provide those services. Another question, Pam?
Yes, I was asking it, but I was on mute. That doesn't work. Do private sector take in account certifications? Yeah, let me try that again. So I guess he's asking, does the private sector, industries and private, do they take account of like county certifications?
Hey guys, some do, some don't. Same is true. Broward Health takes our certification. Broward Schools takes our certification. About 9 to 10 of our cities take our certification. Some give extra evaluation points if you're certified with us. A lot of the others don't. So that's something you want to investigate. Some do, some don't.
Gregory asked, what's the difference or advantage to getting an ACDBE certification versus CBE? So this is kind of an alphabet soup. I understand that ACDBE is aviation based, but does CBE cover that?
So the answer is no. So here's the thing. CBE is local. That's Broward County. ACDBE and DBE, that's federal. If ever Broward County uses DOT, Department of Transportation money, based on what's being procured, we have an opportunity to create a DBE or inside the airport, an ACDBE goal. Can't do nothing with CBE, federal money. I can't put a CBE on federal money. And if you're a DBE, that got nothing to do with my local. When I set my CBEs, I do have businesses who are CBE and DBE. DBE also up under 49 CFR 2326, which is transportation and aviation. It's an exclusive program on the federal government. Anytime DOT spends money, they look to work with certified DBEs. That is certified women and minority businesses. Remember my program, SBE, CBE? I'm race and gender neutral. I'm just here because you're here a year. You're local. This federal program has reciprocity. You can be certified with me as a DBE. You can find a gig in Georgia and go to Georgia. After they review our application, your certification or a past document, Georgia got to certify you. You can be in as many states as you want. So if you are a DBE, you are not automatically a CBE. Matter of fact, to be a DBE, you got specific race and gender qualifications that you need to be a DBE. To be a CBE, we don't care about the race or the gender. We just want to know, are you local? Can you provide the service? Have you been here a year? What's your personal net worth? What's your gross receipts? So they're totally two different programs, federal versus local.
Clifford wants to know if it's too late to get into the Omni Hotel development portion.
It's not too late. You want to stay in touch with our newsletter. There's going to be another sections of bids and small business opportunities for the construction aspect. We haven't even started that Broward is buying program piece yet that I talked about. That'll be explained or shared later this summer, but it's not too late. A lot of the bids for the potential activities have been put out, have been received, and negotiations are occurring as we speak. But you will get to late April or May of this year, and you'll hear about other activities for that project for different disciplines they'll be looking for. April or May of this year, you'll definitely hear about the next set of bids and or opportunities to get on that project.
Thank you. Elizabeth submitted an SBE application and she understood she had to wait 4 weeks to hear back, but she asked if she should proceed to apply for the CBE, which I was beginning to explain that that's one application, so I'm not sure what she's asking.
Yep, so it's all in one. If you did the application, you're not even making a determination. As long as you completed the application, to be technical, you didn't apply for SBE. You filled out my small business application. My staff will determine based on what you wrote, if you're SBE, CBE, or both. We'll tell you.
Thank you. I'm just finishing that up. Yeah. Marcella Rogenberg wants to know, how can she offer her PPE for construction to Broward County?
How can she offer her PPE for construction to Broward County? If she meets the eligibility, get certified.
She is.
B, when it comes to construction activity, most are led by our CMD, Construction Management Division. But just like in the county's capital improvement plan, as well as our newsletter, as well as our contracting opportunities that we do once a year in October, that's currently on our website, you can see all construction activity and what phase they're in from design to construction. And then from agency to prime or seeking to be a prime, you can apply yourself. That is actually the best answer. The idea is that you provide a good material or service that the county's buying, then you want to submit to us when we're buying it. If you provide a professional good material or service that a prime is in need of, you need to understand projects and through us identify primes and offer your services. And again, you get to do both of those sometimes before a bid ever hits the street. Because there is a document, as an example, to carry that one further, that will tell you based on aviation, transportation, port, libraries, Parks and Rec, procurement. There's a document that'll tell you right now what all of them say they're going to spend their money on this year and next year. You can read those projects and see what phases they're in, and based on your professional service, can decide, am I getting in with the county because the county's contracting that service, or if I'm getting in with a prime contractor who can use my professional services.
Sandy, we have one last question. Elizabeth wants to know, how do you become a prime?
So a prime in our definition is absolutely nobody other than someone who bids on a county contract, not as a sub, but as a prime. Let's be clear. Even if I'm a CBE, if there's a $3 million contract, even with a 25% goal, if I bid on the contract, not to be a sub, but the prime, the person who wants to win it all, see, I'm a prime. So if you bid on a $10 million contract, you're a prime. If I got a 30% goal, then you're a subcontractor who wants to work for the prime. We say prime as the differentiation between the larger contractors and my subs. You are a prime if you ever bid on a contract in its entirety. You are a sub if you just want to participate on a portion or a piece of that prime contract.
Thank you, Sandy. That is the last of our questions, and I've moved on to show our upcoming events.
And guys, I'm glad she has this up here. We got a conversation series. We're still celebrating Women's History Month. That's coming up this week on Friday. You also see my Kaufman Fast Track training. This is another part of the half-day workshop, listening to your business. If you happen to be a business within that 4 to 5 year period, closer to 3 to 4, and you want to make sure that you're on the right trajectory, on the right track of where you're going, this is a workshop that you want to attend. I think I'll be actually facilitating this workshop. And then cybersecurity. Hey, this is not about Target. This is not about big banks. We need you to understand how to keep you and your business and your data safe. There's no need of faking it. Folks thought 2 and 3 years ago, this was just an onslaught on big companies. Guys, some of you are Facebook and your LinkedIn and your IG and everything else. You see they trying to get all your information. This is about keeping you and your small business safe. Spread the news about cybersecurity in your small business. Understand ways to protect yourself. We're not trying to sell no products, but we're trying to be crystal clear. You need to protect your business, because I don't care if you're set up as an LLC, S Corp, C Corp. At the end of the day, your business being impacted with cyber hacking will impact your personal life. And unfortunately, if they get you on your personal, there may be a chance to get you on your business. So we're just doing a workshop to make sure our small businesses are at least aware of some of the things they need to do regularly to protect themselves. So those are 3 upcoming workshops. And we certainly want to make sure you all know and pass the word. June 2nd, our annual conference, guys, Broward and Beyond Business Conference. Theme, innovate, collaborate, celebrate. We're going to have an exciting keynote speaker. Going to do more of a fireside chat. We really want to be intimate so you can really hear from this person. But that will be a full day of information. Workshops like this, more to the point, industry experts, a room full of resources. That day is one of the days that we're extremely proud of. And understand, we bring over 700 businesses like you under one roof for a full day of real substantive activity. June 2nd, stick it on your calendar. We look forward to seeing you at this Broward and Beyond Business Conference. So guys, I want to thank you. I know this workshop was long. I know it was a lot of information. I hope it's of assistance and of value to you. Remember, you can always reach out to our office, starting with me, starting with Pam, Nicole, my other managers, our other staff. We're really here for you. We need to make sure that you understand, especially when it comes to certified now what? You did not get certified hoping to win. You didn't get certified hoping somebody's going to knock on your door. You got certified to take advantage of what you now know is homework you need to do to put yourself in the best position to be competitive for county opportunities. You got certified because you realized the county has a program with an ordinance that affords small business special opportunities to compete. You got certified because you recognize you can find out information in advance about future bids. You got certified because you realize you can put a strategy together on how to find information, how to meet primes, how to do bid estimating, and how to submit quality bids. You got certified because you recognize, as in those slides, there really are small businesses who are no better than you, who are really winning contracts and who are really getting paid and who are really graduating outside of my program. So that means something is really happening for someone. You got certified because you're saying, why not you? So thanks again. Look forward to talking to you, seeing you on a regular, not seeing you too often because you got to be out here making this money. But seriously, if you need assistance, reach out. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.